it's the 5-year anniversary of COVID. So I thought, why not talk about COVID in some way? You can take it any way you want. I was mostly curious what everyone's kind of day-to-day lifestyle, what ended up happening during the lockdown, because I didn't really talk to that many people. I really shut down and I became a recluse completely during COVID. And I'm also curious if people liked the lockdown, if they didn't like it, if they overall look back fondly on that time or with great distaste. Because I actually, looking back, so I was living in a micro loft at the time, and it's literally 250 square feet, which is the size of like 2 parking stalls. So I felt like I was in a prison for the most of it. And I was very terrified at first because I didn't know what was going on. Like when everyone didn't know what was happening and the toilet paper shortage, it felt like something pretty big was going to happen. And so I was filled with quite a bit of anxiety at the start. And so I just kind of stayed indoors, and I really didn't interact with another human being for so long. Like I think if I had a camera in my apartment, people would be truly impressed with how long I went with being a complete recluse. It was truly nuts.
Solitary confinement.
Yeah, it was, and it made me realize I'm like built for that kind of thing. Like I had a great time. I do look back very fondly on that time of my life. Not because not because I'm particularly antisocial, but I don't mind being alone. Like I can actually do quite well. A lot of my creativity is best when alone. All my hobbies are done best when alone. So I was able to just all my work and responsibilities went away, and it just was like, you can do whatever you want now for 24/7. I really love that. I was somehow I got in the bed. This maybe was not how everyone was, but I ended up getting in like the best shape of my life. Like that's the only task I gave myself during COVID for a year. It was I worked out every single day, and I got in like insanely good shape, and I stopped drinking. Like I know a lot of people did the opposite. They like drank way more, and like they got, when I saw everyone again after COVID, like after a year, like a lot of my coworkers were like 30 pounds heavier. I'm like, oh wow, I really deviated a different direction here. But I got into a weird routine where I would wake up, I would make a coffee, read a book, read for a bit, and do a workout, and then I had the whole day to just literally do whatever I wanted to. And I just ended up building a really strange, I would probably compare it to like what's that, Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, where it's like I just built this weird self trap that I look back fondly on with such I almost nostalgic when I think about COVID. I'm like, man, I really do miss that time. And yeah, I didn't really do anything at all. So that was my lifestyle. I can't remember what I was going to actually say about it, but I'm just kind of curious if anyone had like a weird daily. Did anyone have like a daily thing that you would do over and over again just to stay sane or any of that kind of stuff?
I was just saying to Grimpen the other day that I could use another lockdown.
I think every 4
years. Yeah, 4 years.
They should institute. It doesn't have to be for a virus, but what?
Not a whole year necessarily, but like a good 6 months.
Oh, 6 months. We're
not allowed to see other people.
There was that initial shutdown where it was like a full shutdown that only lasted like 2 weeks, didn't it? I can't remember how long the full shut, and then it was just a really light traffic everywhere for the rest of the COVID time.
Yeah.
But that first shutdown, if we could have that again, that was the most magical time. I remember looking out the window of my apartment, and there's like a really busy street next to it that you'd look out, and there was not a single car as far as you could see. It was like 28 days later or something where
I live in like at that time I lived on like the apocalypse street of Vancouver, and so it already looked like crazy when it was not COVID. But then during COVID, because no foot traffic was going through there or any traffic, it just got taken over by more and more, drug addicts and people like that. And to the point where they took over the front entrance of my apartment, so no one could leave. Like you couldn't open the door anymore.
Oh my God.
So we had to go through the back alley. The whole road was taken over. So it had a kind of an eerie feel to it, but yeah, it was kind of, it was very strange. I remember, so this podcast actually started at COVID. So I started at the end of 2019, like 2 months before everything shut down, and I made it a goal to like do an episode every week, and I didn't miss a single week, and it was more therapeutic for me. And I started running out of ideas, but I just kept rambling on like every week. I'm just trying to think of something to do. But I remember your guys' show as well. I think you guys were doing a lot of Jackbox stuff.
So much
right?
Jackbox.
Yeah.
I played so much Jackbox,
and
and outside of the show too. I like so much of that. Like most of my family interactions were through Jackbox. But yeah, we totally changed the show. We didn't know what we were going to do at first because we had never really done anything remote at all.
It was also crazy because we were like what 50 yards apart. Like,
yeah, we were in the same building.
It was 10 floors above me at that point.
Yeah, but we couldn't get in the same room.
Yeah, that was a lot of Jackbox.
We ended up calling. Yeah, it was. So we did a thing. I think it was. We have gaming history, which we do every week, and we kept that going. But otherwise, we played a multiplayer game on Monday and Jackbox on Friday, and that's all we did through the whole pandemic.
It's one of the things. I still love Jackbox, but I'm still kind of burnt out on it.
Yeah, totally.
That was like my only social interaction, honestly. Like I came in, I think, almost every Friday. It was it was a nice little release.
I still play it with family sometimes too, but
I still get requests sometimes for us to bring it back because we had a decent group playing with us every week.
There's a new game. It's like a list-based game that came out with zero fanfare.
From the same people?
Oh yeah, it's still a Jackbox game. It's just not part of a party pack. It's just on its own.
It's interesting though because you ended up moving, but we were, because of COVID, we had learned how to do the show completely remotely at that point. And at some point, we realized through this program called Parsec that we could actually, like, I could watch Grimpen play a game through my computer and it wouldn't lug or chug or anything. Yeah. Or lag. That's what I'm trying to say. And so that completely, with that, we were able to go back to our old show and play weird games and stuff like that.
Pretty much anything we want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the general consensus is, from you two at least, is it was a positive experience, or were there any downers or what?
The catching COVID was never fun, but all of the lockdown experience was
really
positive.
Yeah, it sucked coming out of it and having to wear masks. I had to do a show with like wearing a mask all the time, and I was like a scare actor in a haunted house right after COVID. And we had to wear these like silicone masks over our cloth masks, and they would just get drenched in sweat, and you'd be like,
it's apparently like so unhealthy too to have like just wearing a mask in general.
It was awful. Yeah, but the lockdown itself, for the most part, I remember I really wanted to be, I guess I was pretty creative, but I didn't get as much done as I was hoping to at the beginning. I was like, this is perfect. I'm going to get so much done. And then I mostly just did Grimpen stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad I had my game during that, because I did a lot of just like my whole game is remote before that, and so we didn't lose any steam at all. That's like the one thing that was consistent, was I was able to just keep focusing on my game. And
how small is a micro loft, just out of curiosity?
That was that one was the size of 2 parking stalls. It was 249 square feet.
Wow,
but everything like folds up into the walls. It's actually really well designed. I was able to like fold my bed away and everything. So like I know it sounds insane, but I actually really liked that apartment.
Are you sure it was 249 square feet? I swear it was like 50.
I actually think it was actually 235. Actually, it's very small. Yeah.
You could change the subject, but how much did that cost at the time?
So I got in early when the building was brand new, and what was it was like, I think it was like $935, which is
outrageous for Vancouver.
Yeah, and like if you moved in during COVID, like that was years and years later, people were paying $1,500 for that.
Holy smokes.
It was also a bit awkward because it was kind of like a triangle shape.
Yeah, the shape was a bit weird.
Well, there was one wall that was kind of like, or one corner that was kind of unusable in a sense.
Yeah. And like one of my entire walls is kind of like the bathroom. It was like fogged glass. kind of thing. So it's like I didn't like having people use the bathroom at the same. It's like it's just like you get very comfortable with each other right away. Kind of.
Yeah.
And there's no door. It's like a stall door kind of. So there's space in between. Like a it's hard to explain, but it would swivel in and out, and there was no actual like closing of a door. So it's very very odd.
I feel like my experience was actually like quite a bit different than, well, probably your guys', because I was still in like a corporate gig. I was doing marketing, and so everything was everything in corporate corporate job is kind of like ridiculous already. So when you added the COVID stuff, everything became just heightened absurdity. Like I did all the whole thing about like on Fridays we would have happy hour, but it was on Teams chat. So we'd have like not like nine our 9 or 12, actually like 12 people on our team, and sort of like this, but we'd be all drinking a beer or a cocktail after. But the horrible thing is that you can't talk at the same time. So
exactly
taking turns.
You'd have two people maybe having like a side conversation in the corner, and then if anyone tried to have their own conversation, it would just interrupt them. Like the whole thing was so crazy. So we transitioned.
Like it was supposed to be like a mix of just people. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah,
like culture, like team culture is so important in the corporate world. So you have to like find a way to do these team building things when you're remote, because they thought that like, oh, everyone's going to lose contact and not like each other or something. So we would have these ridiculous things we'd have to do. And I went to one, I thought it was stupid, and so I never went to another one. And I was like, everyone, oh, Jeremy's not part of the team, But I started saying, hey, how about we meet up in person? And so I told everyone to meet in the parking lot of Safeway. And because we weren't allowed to like come within a certain distance of one, so was it 6 feet or something like that. That's basically like the width of a car. So we had 12 cars parked in 12 parking spots lined up beside each other, and then we would roll our windows down left and right. And this was in the middle of winter as well. And we would just yell through this like wind tunnel throughout. So like if there was someone 4 cars down and I wanted to say something, I would just like yell to this person, and you'd kind of like move your cars around depending on who you wanted to talk to. And the whole thing was ridiculous. Halfway through the pandemic is when I quit my job and I started working with Amy full time. And that was like, I think the pandemic accelerated that, because that was kind of the plan for a while. And then when the pandemic happened, everybody was we thought it would have a negative impact on Amy's art business, but everybody was at home and they were looking at their walls and everything, and they were empty, and they wanted to spend all this extra cash because nobody was going out. So her art really took off. And then I was like, all right, why am I doing this for this business? I might as well just do it for you. And so the pandemic has like, as awful as I know, it was an awful time and people died and everything, but it was also like the absolute best. I love it. Was like Cooper, like same as you. Like I think I'm built for that kind of stuff.
Me too.
If the world ended tomorrow,
and I could live in a bomb shelter forever.
Oh yeah,
totally.
I'm infinitely entertained by my own thoughts and actions. Like
I want to put to test so badly. There's always like Mr. Beast videos where like there's solitary confinement. I swear I could do those things. Like I'm almost certain. I don't know.
Those guys are. Reality TV is ridiculous. Like people leave their homes for an afternoon and they're crying because they can't see their kids. I'm like, give me a break. Like, yeah, I could do that I could have a child today, bring a child into the world today, and go away for a year and be totally cool.
That means my child would love me that much more when I got back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd be fine. Build anticipation.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I'm with you guys. Like obviously I don't want the disease part of a lockdown, but if someone could just say like, hey, if it was part of our culture just to like be extreme introverts for like a quarter of the year or something like that, that'd be sweet. I'm down with that.
Totally.
Everyone would be so recharged at the end of it as well. Just ready to go, and I don't know.
I think it brought a lot of good, like, it finally, I'd been like a big pretty outspoken person in every workplace I'd been about like working remotely and how it's like it has all these different benefits and all that kind of stuff. And then when this happened, it really, you know, proved it. It proved what I was saying right. And I think a lot of places in Edmonton have kind of come back to some degree of like working in offices, and
it's
maybe
like 2 days in, 3 days out or something.
Yeah.
Most places, yeah.
But it really did bring, like, I remember my boss was like, I can't believe it. I can do my laundry while I'm working, and then I can make dinner for my family. Like I don't lose the travel time. Like she said, her family was so much happier. Like they were well fed, well taken care of. And I was like, there's all these benefits to doing this, right? Like it's crazy that they managed to claw back.
I think the companies get more from the employees working from home too, because employees get lost in their work. Whereas if you're in an office, you're shooting the shit and wasting time for at least 25% of the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, yeah.
But I think we tend to, I think as a society too, like we tend to make like kind of extroversion and socialization is like the standard, and so anything else is sort of is maybe strange or not acceptable, right? Like we deviate towards extroversion as the norm, and I think that's like that sucks. I think it sucks. Like I think introversion and just being, you know, reflective and meditative and looking internal a little bit more would benefit a lot of people. And I think the pandemic really highlighted how uncomfortable that makes some people. To just
I have some friends that were like going insane on day one. I was like, they were like I'm like, you would have been inside anyway. Like you can't go a day. Like they were losing their mind. Like, I can't believe I have to stay inside for an entire day. And I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy.
There was a point in time where like we lived in the apartment and they were getting the elevator replaced in the apartment. So there was one elevator and you've got 17 floors that's sharing one elevator. And
they were so slow.
It was so slow. And you'd always have to share it with at least like 2 or 3 other people. So like walking the dog or whatever was stressful, which in retrospect seems so silly. Because like I was already vaccinated. Oh no, I don't remember when the vaccine actually came around. But yeah, it just seemed, that was horrible. And it was halfway through the pandemic that I moved into a house, and that made it so much better. Just having like space of your own to go and not have to be near people.
I had like 2 quick follow-up questions too. Like one is going back to at the very beginning about time. Did something, do you guys agree that it does legitimately seem nuts that that was 5 years ago? And does your, like, my internal clock of remembering history now has seemed to be permanently messed up from COVID? Like, I'm just like, to think that we were in lockdown 5 years ago, like that seems so weirdly distant. And like God of War 2 or whatever came out like 6, 7, like it's just like the whole time, like that seems like a new game in my mind, but it's already half a decade ago, because that chunk of time was just like, it feels like it was just removed from my brain or something. Does anyone else is anyone else's clock?
I noticed that a lot when I would start to see people that I hadn't seen for like 2 years, seeing them in like 2000 or in 2023 or something like that, and realizing that it didn't feel like I hadn't seen them in 2 years. It just seemed like I had seen them the day before and nothing had changed because no one did anything. So it wasn't like, wow, what you been doing the last 2 years? And so there was no sense of time loss in that sense, because it just feels like we all got 2 years older for no reason. And we didn't get to have any like great experiences throughout. So that is weird. Like the time thing is really messed up for me.
Yeah, like during it felt like it went really slowly, but then once it was over, like it was like, it felt like we were only in there for a month.
The other thing I was going to ask is, does anyone have any negative experiences or think that there could have been negative outcomes as a result of all the I don't know, a year out of society?
I'm definitely well, okay, so other than like I had friends who like lost their parents and they couldn't even like more like go to the funeral and stuff like that. Like those are the obvious, like that is awful and terrible. and you don't want, I would never want anything like that to happen again. But just in terms of like my daily life, I do feel like I'm naturally introverted anyways, and so I sometimes struggle just to find people to talk to, and I've completely, I think I've made it even harder on myself. Like I don't, especially now that I don't work in a corporate job, I'm not talking to people every day even. So I do feel like more like social anxiety and stuff like that than I did before. So that's definitely like a negative impact on my life, because I feel like because I'm so introverted, I kind of needed that extra push sometimes to go and talk to people. Now I don't have that at all. And that's probably not great, because it would be nice just to talk to people sometimes randomly, and not feel like I'm having a heart attack or something.
I think a lot of the time through the pandemic, having the stream kept us sane. Like,
yeah,
for
like sure.
You're scheduled to talk to someone at this time
for 3 hours straight.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's cool. And you have like I don't know how many, like, do you have people watching and they would talk and chat with you and stuff like that? Like
that was kind of interesting. I remember at the very beginning hearing people from around the world talking about their different experiences and stuff. That was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we had like people from Germany, Australia, England, I think.
Yeah, probably. It's crazy.
And the States. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It is nuts that it also wasn't just localized to, Canada or the North America. Like the whole world was doing this one thing, and that's never happened in my lifetime, I don't think, and probably hopefully won't ever again. But
unless we can convince everyone in the world to all like clap at once or something cool like that. Let's see what happens.
It is
cool to have lived through that.
I'll jump at the same time
I'll
and
jump
cause an
and
earthquake.
see what. Oh, that'd be so cool. We'd probably ruin a couple island countries, but that's fine.
Did everyone everyone had COVID, and was it bad?
Mine was really mild.
I had it. It was rough, and I still have way less stamina than I did before I had it.
I do feel like I have long COVID symptoms as well. Yeah.
Like I get gassed doing like shoveling and stuff, and I'm sure some of that is getting older, but it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah,
but like
I had it once.
It's hard to remember what's different as well.
Yeah, that's the part I don't know. Is I can never tell if like, oh, maybe even with like long COVID things, I'm sort of like, are we more aware of these things now, or maybe we had like long flu symptoms as well that we just never attributed.
Yeah,
who knows, right? Like, there's so much more that we're aware of now that we weren't before, and so you don't really know like what's true and what's not true. I got it once fairly late in the game. I think like 2 years in, maybe even. And that's the only time I've had it. It was pretty mild, thankfully. You had a nasty version of it, didn't you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say mine have all been. I've had it tons because I worked in work in the service industry, so I'm getting it constantly. I've had it I think 3 times now, but it's been.
Didn't you have the first time that like made you go blind?
Oh, I know. So like I had right before, I don't know if this is connected, but there are people saying, a lot of people online said this happened to them right before getting COVID. So the first time I got COVID, I was sitting on the couch and I was like watching TV and I was watching something with subtitles. And for a moment, I noticed I could never, like, when I'm reading the subtitle, there'd be like a spot, like one of the letters I couldn't like read for a second. Like it almost looked, I couldn't weird. Describe the feeling. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And then that spot got a little bit bigger over time. And it eventually started to look like when you look at a lamp or a bulb and then look back at something, you have that little ghost image. It looked exactly like that for a bit. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't remember looking at like a bright light anytime recently, and so I wasn't really thinking about it, and then I kept like watching this thing, and then I like couldn't like read like the subtitle, and I was like, what is going on here? So I like went to the bathroom, and like I could see this like part in my vision where it was just like this really ghosted light bulb type of thing, and I was like, oh, it's really strange. I must have looked at something and I just don't remember it. And then like as the minutes went on this thing, I could literally see it like getting bigger and bigger, like taking over like my whole vision. And I was like, this is not right. And it started to look very pixelated, like when you're if your iPhone screen the glass gets hit or something, you can see all the little colors and like all the little refracted lights and all that kind of stuff. It definitely turned into something that started to freak me out. I was like, okay, this is not normal. It's getting bigger and bigger. So I quickly looked online, and right away the first thing I found, I can't remember what the name of it now is. There is a term for it, and it said, and I didn't know at the time if this was it or not, but it said, this is a thing. It'll last for 30 to 45 minutes. It kind of walked me through what I would experience. And I was like, okay, I hope this is that thing, because apparently it's not that big of a deal. And so I went and laid on my bed, and man, it was like a true trip. Like it eventually takes over your entire vision. You are blinded with these crazy pixelated lights that just like, it looks like it just almost like Star Wars text, but coming towards you. And then it just takes over everything, and you just lay in bed and enjoy the ride kind of thing.
Oh man, you guys are having all these awesome health induced visions. I want to get in on this.